comes a time in all of our lives where the welfare and well-being of the older members of our family needs to be taken into consideration while encouraging them to live as independently as possible for as long as possible. So here to talk about some innovative smart technology is Rob Wilcox from Smartlife. Kia ora, welcome.
Great to be here, Monique. Thank you.
Really good to hear what you're doing with Smartlife. So I know there'll be people watching going, what is Smartlife? So that's your first question for today's interview. Tell me all about Smartlife.
Yeah, great. So Smartlife's all about integrating technology to make it easy and accessible for people because I think these days it's really easy to end up with a whole lot of different apps and a lot of confusion about how to use them and make life easier. So we're all about fixing that.
So there's a lot of different apps obviously in the market, and that can become quite overwhelming for people. So how do you make life simple?
Yeah, so it's choosing a range of technologies that we can integrate everything together is really the secret to it. Like these days, it's very easy to end up with an app for the alarm, an app for the door lock, an app for the blinds if you have those, app for the heat pump, but certainly a lot of them. And so if you, the problem with that is that apart from being very clumsy to operate, it's also really difficult to get any kind of integration. So like, for example, when you come home or leave the house, pushing goodbye, turns off the heat pump, locks the doors, sets the alarm, turns off the lights, makes it really, really easy to use. And so these sort of technologies have been around for a while, but generally just exclusively in the domain of the rich and famous, if you like. So,
of course. Yes.
So really the top few % of homes and boardrooms have had these integrated systems. And then there's a lot of products in the market that expect the user to try to bring it together, but as you say, they end up with a multitude of different systems. What we've done is to develop a system to bring that all together.
Now, my understanding is there's a bit of a story behind setting up Smartlife. So tell me what prompted you to set up the company?
Yeah, so we've always been fascinated about integrating things personally. So I set up, one of the company's C-Motion was bringing together systems for super yachts and luxury vessels. And then we actually got purchased by Navman. So then we had the opportunity to build a world-class product in terms of with a sort of unlimited budget, which was fantastic. But having sort of done that, we really wanted to look at how we could make this accessible to a much wider group. And we're really interested in using it for the technology for energy and aged care. So we set up Smartlife following that and initially focused on high-end homes and businesses. But then we've been developing this technology over the last 5 years to allow it to be much more accessible to a much wider group of people by way of a few techniques of how it can be deployed and how it works, yeah.
So you've created this new iteration of this company or this new offer, which is Smartlife Care,
yes.
Which is the ability, home automation, is it for older members of our family? Tell me all about that.
Yeah, so initially we focused only on the older members, but it also is very relevant for people of all ages with things like dementia, blind and low vision, or other restrictions. But so there's a lot of products on the market where you push a button and somebody comes, sort of thing. But we stood back and looked at the thing, and there was both the opportunity to create that solution that the carers were looking for, the children. And so that started off around the passive monitoring so that the children would be alerted or the carers would be alerted even if nothing happened, if the person didn't push anything. Often they won't remember to do that, or they might be unable to do that if they've had a fall. So the system there detects a lack of presence, if you like. So we adapted the security sensors that are normally there to tell you when somebody's there when they shouldn't be, and we created the technology so that it creates a notification if there's no motion, for example, in the kitchen between 9 a.m. and 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. or in the lounge between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. sends an alert, and then the family members can communicate with each other to see what sort of assistance could be provided. Perhaps one of them's going to call and that kind of thing.
Wow.
So that was the sort of base philosophy, but then we also wanted to use all the technology that we've been putting into these, luxury homes. So we chose affordable technology just to make it really easy to use. Things like my mum's getting older and by herself now, and remembering how to turn on the Sky TV and adjust the channels and everything was becoming harder. So Now she can use Alexa or push a button on a very simplified remote just to get everything set up, and then that makes things so much easier. Also, sometimes if she gets stuck, we can actually control that remotely for her over the phone, turn on heat pumps or adjust the channel or put a favourite program on. What we can do now is we use the Facebook portal, and we can call her during the news hour, pause the news, all remotely, switch the Facebook portal on, call and initiate the call, and then you've got a life-size conversation in the room, which has been really fantastic, particularly over the lockdown. But a number of our other clients that have parents overseas and things like that have found that that's a really fantastic improvement to the communication flow.
So have you noticed that being able to connect with her in this way has improved her well-being, her quality of life, her mindset? How have you seen that change her behaviour, as an example?
Yes, I think that very much just being able to reconnect or be connected, because that's how that isolation can be a really challenging sort of thing. So the big focus there has been on making it easier to stay living longer from that point of view, but because that can be much more cost effective and people are happier. The other angle is that we have with Smartlife Care is to provide that assistance and technology when they're in a care facility. So we also cover
so
things
it integrates
with that as well.
into those facilities as well.
Yeah, so that's something that we've been rolling out just more recently, but that allows them to integrate in with things like the nurse call system and the understanding that room occupancy, again providing that benefits of energy so that the room's cool or heat hot without having to run everything all the time, and being able to control the environment, the things that become difficult as you get older, the blinds, the drapes, making sure that the lights are on when you need them and all that kind of thing, answering the door. We can apply so many of the technologies to assist in both those cases.
Having older family members myself, they're fiercely independent, they all want to live independently. I know for a fact that in a few years' time, some of them are going to need this sort of assistance. But let's talk about the intrusiveness of this. How do they still remain autonomous and have their own privacy in their own space?
Yeah, so we worked in with some of the studies that were done by Massey University, and we linked in with the universities in Auckland and AUT to understand the sort of the lay of the land there. And absolutely, people do not like having cameras, being spied upon, all that kind of thing. So the system that we deployed is just literally a security PIR type product. So monitoring activity like the use of the fridge and the bathroom and activity in the night, doors and things like that is something that is really important as well. And but being able to do that in an unobtrusive way, as we develop the solution there, we'll make sure that we provide one of the features that's just coming out. Next week, we'll be able to use the Alexa to talk back. So if we do want to have a greater level of intrusiveness, if you like, then we can actually firstly provide the warning to the end user, hey, because there hasn't been any activity, if the clients want it, we can activate the video conferencing system or something like that to check, but giving them the option to prevent that, So those types of things are really important to provide that right balance between independence and
So how does Smartlife Care roll out? My understanding from reading your website is that you have packages available. So tell me about those packages.
Yep, so the first package we've got is got the 2 motion detectors and the panic buttons. And so we still have panic buttons, even though people often don't push them. And then there's the app that can be used by the older adult, but typically it's just used by the children and other carers. So motion detector in the kitchen, motion detector in the lounge, panic button in the bathroom, and then there's a pendant that they can wear optionally. So what happens there, if there's no motion, sets the alerts off. The alerts go out to the family members. They can actually use the in-app chat. So, hey bro, I'm busy, can you check on mum? Yep, gave her a call, she just slept in, all good, or that type of thing. Package 2 also has the ability to control the Sky TV, the TV itself, air conditioning, both remotely and also has that Facebook portal video conferencing. So that allows the family or the older adult to easily control all these things with Alexa or voice commands or from the app remotely. And even things like we can set it up that certain programs come on automatically at certain times. They're really, really good for dementia and that sort of thing as well. The system can also be, you can add on things like access control for the doors, because if you are going to ask the neighbour or somebody else to pop over if there has been an incident, it's great if you can turn the light on and unlock the door, and there's no sort of keys being left out and telling people where they are, and that creates the security. So they're very good with that sort of thing. And from that base system, people can add things like motorised blinds or lighting control, some of those very simple things, much more affordable than they used to be, and just making life easier for people.
Well, Rob, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Congratulations on creating such a brilliant service for people who need it right now.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to find out more about Smartlife, you can head to their website, smartlife.nz. Rob, thank you.
Thanks, mate.